Good evening. Welcome to Inception Live. I'm Gloria, and I have an amazing guest for you this evening. Welcome to the show, Linda from Hill House Manor, and all the way from Texas. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It is Linda Anthony Hill.
Oh, Linda Anthony Hill. I just saw the name on the screen, Hill House Manor. So
I just noticed it too.
that's okay. I can call.
Well, that's my house, and I am known for Hill House Manor.
Well,
So,
there you go. So you've just got an
yeah,
extended name this time. Um, what time is it there? It's 7 p.m. in the UK here.
it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here.
So it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
No, it's perfect. It's
Okay.
perfect.
I watched you on another show and I was riveted with the experiences, with what happened, and how everything synchronized and came about, and the evidence that you've obtained. And I have to say, guys, I got a couple of photographs, and I, as a medium, was blown away with what Linda captures. So, I'm gonna hand it over to Linda and say, where did this all begin with Hill House Manor?
With Hill House Manor, I owned some commercial property in another town and I sold it. And in order to meet the tax criteria, I had to do something called a 1031 exchange, which meant I had, I think 4 months to buy another, what's considered commercial property.
Okay.
Put the money back into a commercial property. So my husband was a realtor at the time, and he found this group of properties in Gainesville, which was about an hour and a half away from where I lived, but that didn't matter. It was a group of properties that were all contiguous, which means they all touched each other in one way or another.
Okay.
And so were considered or could be considered one property. And they were all rental properties, which is a commercial endeavor. So, anyway, we looked at the properties and we decided that was a good fit for what we needed to do and how we wanted. I had a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or something going on at the time, which included buying up properties and then halfway through selling half of them off to pay the other half off to retire on. Which worked out quite nicely. I am retired now, although I do write books.
Yes.
And so I'm not fully retired.
Not fully.
No, I'll never be fully retired. But anyway, the houses were available as a package. And it was, you take all the properties and it's a package. And we said, okay. And we went in and we evaluated each property individually and then made an offer on the properties. And they came back, and keep in mind, we're under a deadline here. We have 4 months to close. They saw our offer and said, well, things have changed and you can just bid on whichever properties you want. You don't have to buy them all together. And we said, okay. So we went back through and looked at all the properties again. And Hill House Manor is a beautiful piece of property, but there was something about it that made me anxious. I didn't want to own it, not as a rental property. So we made a new offer and we dropped Hill House Manor, which wasn't named Hill House Manor at the time. We named it that. Our last name is Hill. And so we named it Hill House Manor. That's another story. But we tried to find the original owners. We were going to name it after the people who built the house, but we couldn't. The tax records were destroyed in a fire, and I mean, we're in the county seat, so we could go down to the courthouse and search for these records, but they weren't complete, and we never could. We even had somebody from Austin, which is the state capital, look into it, and they couldn't find the original owner of the property.
Wow.
So we were on a deadline with that too. So we went ahead and named it Hill House Manor because our name is Hill.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it wasn't named Hill House Manor at the time that we bought it. And we decided to leave it out of the package because I had these misgivings about it. And so we made the new offer, and they came back and said, well, the situation has changed again.
Oh, gosh.
And now it's all or nothing again. And that should have been our first clue. If you don't take this big old house, this big creepy old house, you can't have the properties. That should have been our first clue, but no. We said, okay. And we came up with a new offer for all the properties. And, you know, it was back and forth negotiation. You know how that is. And we settled on the deal. And the neighborhood was not in good shape. It was a neighborhood that had drug people in it and hookers, and it was not a good neighborhood. But we thought, there's the potential. You clean up the neighborhood, you raise the property values. You know, this is great. This is great.
You were optimistic, but one thing that I've captured there, I mean, this is just my perception. You correct me if I'm wrong. Do you really feel like you had no choice? You were going to own this property?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, no matter what. I mean, how the deal was changed because you didn't want that building. Yeah. So it had to change again to ensure, it's like the universe is ensuring
that I got the house. Yes.
You got the house. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely.
Do go on.
Well, we closed and we started, well, the house it was a triplex when we bought it. 2 of the units were livable, and 1 of the units needed to be rehabbed, completely rehabbed, didn't even have electricity. But the 2 units that were livable were leased. When we signed the deal, those units were leased. By the time we closed on the contract and got up there, they were empty.
Wow.
The tenants had moved on.
Wow.
Another clue, you know, what?
Yeah.
Because this was one of the nicer houses in the neighborhood. So we started fixing up the neighborhood in general, and it was a huge project. We had to clean out a lot of trash, literal trash in the neighborhood. We had to fix up the outsides of the houses, the insides of the houses. We discovered that there was carpeting throughout all of the houses. And when we started pulling up carpet, we discovered hardwood floors, 100-year pine that's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And so that became a project, recovering all the floors in the neighborhood. And we were working on it ourselves. We didn't have a crew. We were just going up on weekends and working on it. The neighborhood started to improve. We actually got families into the neighborhood, and there were children playing in the neighborhood. And it was nice. After 2 years, it started to settle down and become a nice neighborhood. And we were able to raise rents a little bit and make it a profitable deal, except for Hill House Manor. Hill House Manor did not keep a tenant more than 6 months. Through its 2 years, we went back through the records, and they would leave after 2 months, they would leave after 3 months. The very longest anyone stayed in the house was 6 months. And that record holds. We've had a caretaker move into the house who was going to take care of the house, and they were gone in 5 months.
Oh, God.
And they knew what they were getting into. They knew the house was haunted.
Yeah, yeah.
And they started drinking heavily.
Uh-huh.
And after 4 months, they said, we have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And after 5 months, they were gone. And it took us 2 months to get them to come back and get all their things out. They didn't want to go back in the house.
Did the caretaker say why?
Oh, yes.
Do share.
I mean, they knew it was haunted, so they knew they could tell us.
Yeah.
They said it was just too unsettling. They would wake up at night and someone be standing at the foot of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, no one was standing at the foot of the bed, but it seemed that someone was standing at the foot of the bed. They would catch the children talking to people that weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
The things would disappear or move. Things that they knew they had left in one place would appear in another place.
Yeah.
Noises. People talking in the next room when there was no one in the next room.
You know,
People partying upstairs.
I mean, I got to ask. So they knew it was haunted. So, would I be right in saying, well, they thought, yeah, I can handle this.
Absolutely, they thought no problem, no problem. Either they didn't believe it was haunted in the first place, and found out that yes, indeed, it was, or they believed but thought they were capable of dealing with it, and they were not.
No,
I'm not. I mean, I used to go over there all the time.
Uh-huh.
And now I won't even wait inside for a group that's coming to tour. I'll wait on the front porch maybe, but usually I just wait at my own house and let them text me that they're there, and I'll go over and let them in and give them a tour. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable in the house, but when I'm there by myself for very long, the spirits start playing little tricks on me.
Okay.
They like to startle me and freak me out. And I just have grown tired of it. I just can't take it anymore. So I don't go over anymore.
When you
like
say, I mean, I just hold it on there. Obviously, being a medium, you know, myself and the spirit world. I mean, so did you sense? Because you said when at the beginning you were very anxious and you didn't want the property, and obviously you were meant to have it. And they're saying the spirits are like tricksters playing games. Did you sense it was a safe place? The energies were safe. They were just tricksters, prankster spirits. There was nothing negative, what we would call low vibrational.
In the beginning, there were a couple of areas that were low vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Very negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to find out over the course of, time that those areas had entities that were stuck.
Yeah.
And they just needed to be released. And once they were released, the negative energy disappeared.
This is the part of when I watched you on the other show that resonated with me. Your truth about how they're released. They don't know what's happened. Now, I am exactly the same as you, and it accounts for many what we call hauntings. And some come in and go into the light, and it's I'm a rescue medium. I don't do platform medium, so I'm aware of what you spoke about, and that so intrigued me to hear another person speak on this topic. So you were saying they needed help. Could you please explain your truth about how this works to help them, the perceived negative energies?
The beings that are trapped, stuck, whatever you want to call it, they can't move. They can't move on. They can't move around. They're stuck. Like
Yeah.
if they're on the floor in the,
Mhm.
dining room, that's where they are.
Mhm.
They're not going to go anywhere else in the house. That's
Mhm.
it. They're stuck there,
Mhm.
which, eternity is a long time
Mhm.
to be stuck on the floor in the dining room.
Mhm.
So the energy is not high.
Yes.
They're frustrated
Yeah.
and they are in shock.
Mhm.
They don't know why they're there.
Yeah.
They had something shocking happen to them
Mhm.
that got them caught up in the location where they
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
Whether it's a car accident or somebody shot them or they had a heart attack,
Yeah.
whatever, it was a surprise.
Yes.
They did not die naturally. We have one woman that died naturally in the house of
Mhm.
cancer, and she has never haunted the place. Never.
Yeah.
She had a spirit that haunted her while she was alive, I'm told by her son, and
Mhm.
that spirit haunts the place, but she
Mhm.
doesn't
She
because
doesn't know.
she died naturally. She didn't, there were no surprises. There was,
So,
she knew what was
did
coming.
you bring in rescue mediums or whatever terminology you use in
We
your
brought in a spirit rescue team,
okay.
and they effectively moved the being on
Mhm.
in a way that I would not have done. But back then, I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I worked with him again, the one that they brought in.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought them in to help him. I worked with him again later because he had moved, but he hadn't moved on.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't. He comes back all the time. He loves playing at Hill House Manor.
Yeah.
He loves
Yeah.
it. He'll even get back in the, on the floor and play that if people want him to.
I'm with you.
And
Honest,
somehow they can tell what you want.
exactly. This when I heard you on the show, this so resonated with me. There was a home I did. It was a year and a half ago, and in total there were about 7. Anyway, there was one which the lady of the house really thought was the most intimidating, and for 2 years she could not sleep in her own bed alone. She had to get one of her children. And anyway, so the first one I detected was this one. And once what was done, not only could she sleep in her bed from that day forth on her own, she tells me now, he pops in all the time. I'm watching TV and I see him watching the TV and he just pops in. So when I heard you on the other one, I thought, oh my God, I so resonate with your experiences because they're very similar to mine. And they just pop back, you know.
Yeah.
She's happy to
What
have
else are
him.
you going to do?
Yeah, if you're happy to have them there and the owners of the house or whatever, and there's no problem, just let them be. So I just love that, and I thought it brings a lighter part to what we call, ghosts or paranormal or spirit world, and because they still have their personal autonomy. They're still beings like us. They just lost the physical
Their
sense.
body. I call
Yeah,
them non-corporeal beings.
yeah. There you go. Beautiful. I just love that. And for me, when I don't watch ghost hunts and all this not post paranormal, like Hollywood stuff, because
Yeah, I don't watch it either.
if they're cussing the spirit world, you need to be very careful what you're going to do because it will come back at you because of
Oh, yes.
yeah. But anyway, do go on. So um you've got this property. You've had it for a couple of years. Your caretaker thought he could handle it, couldn't, left. So what happens next with
But
Hill House?
even before that, now the
Mhm.
caretaker came much later. But before that, what we did after 2 years of having this place, people move in, people move out, people
Yeah,
move in, people move
yeah,
out.
yeah,
And, you don't move in and out of an apartment without damaging it.
yeah.
So every time somebody moved out, we had to go back in,
Yeah.
repaint, fix
Yeah.
holes,
Yeah.
fix things up, redo the floors. Uh, so we finally, after 2 years, said, enough is enough. We're coming up here every weekend because we both worked at the time,
Mhm.
full-time, regular 9 to 5 jobs.
Mhm.
And we would come up on the weekends and we would work on the different houses in the neighborhood. It was a project
Yeah.
that, we did it almost every weekend.
Mhm.
Uh, but we wouldn't come up for the weekend because that would require getting a hotel.
Mhm.
It was only a little over an hour's drive away, so we would drive up on Friday afternoon, work for a while, drive back home, drive back up on Saturday morning,
Yeah.
work all day, drive home, drive back up on Sunday. It was a lot of driving.
Yeah.
So we said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to take this house and we're going to make one of the apartments our weekend getaway.
Yeah.
We threw a blow up mattress in the bedroom and an air conditioner in the window, and we found a recliner and put it in there, and put a desk so that we could have people in to sign leases or applications or what
Yeah.
have you. We could
Yeah.
do business there. And we started using it ourselves
Mhm.
because there was no point in renting it. It wouldn't stay rented. We didn't know why it wouldn't stay rented. We just knew it wouldn't stay rented.
Yeah.
So one day we're up there and my husband is showing a property across the street from this house. And the
Mhm.
woman looks at the back of this house and she points to it. She said, that house is haunted. My grandmother lived there 30 years ago and it was haunted then and it's still haunted. And my husband was like, really? So he told me about it. And at first I thought, well, you know, if you move into this old house and the people in the neighborhood tell you it's haunted, now
Mhm.
everything that goes bump in the night is a ghost.
Yeah.
And it's an old house. Things go bump
Yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
Pipes creak, wood creaks,
Yeah.
it has its own personality. Anyway, I wrote it off as that. But then we started having our own experiences of
Mhm.
things moving around. And I had an experience that got me on My Ghost Story, which is an
Yeah.
American TV show. I don't know if you get it in England.
I'm not sure. We may do. Some networks may show it. What is it called for everyone to look out for it? What
My
is it?
Ghost Story.
My Ghost Story. Okay.
Yes. I was in season 2. I think it was episode 2, but it might not have been. I'm not sure. I don't recall.
Okay.
But anyway, I had spent the day ripping carpet out of a very hot house, and it was the middle of the summer.
Mhm.
So, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun was high. It, it,
Mhm.
it wasn't even beginning to go down in Texas. It's 10 o'clock at night before the sun goes down in the summer in Texas, or
Mhm.
our part of Texas. So anyway, I'd been ripping all this carpet out and I was done. I was just done. I'd had it. Sweat was pouring off of me. I had dirt and dust in me from the carpet, and it was
Yeah.
just, I was nasty. So I went over to the house, and my husband had already called it a day. He was sitting in the bedroom on the recliner uh, on the internet
Mhm.
in the nice air conditioned room. And I went over and I said, I'm going to take a shower because I've got to get this yuck off of me. And I started getting undressed. Now, at the time, I had lost 15 pounds.
Mhm.
And my husband made the comment, you're looking good. And I thanked him, you know. But that wasn't the kind of compliment he would normally give me. But,
Mhm.
I'll take whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got undressed and I got in the shower, which was right off the bedroom. The bathroom was right off the bedroom. And I left the door open on the bathroom because the air conditioning didn't go into the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was just a window unit air conditioner. So to
Yeah.
get air conditioning into the bathroom, I had to leave the door open. So I left the door open. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm just letting the water, cold water wash over me and I'm feeling better. And he comes out of the bedroom and he stands in the doorway. And he says, looking good. Now I'm looking through a Walmart almost see-through curtain.
Yeah.
Shower curtain. It's clear, but it's not crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a silhouette almost, but
yeah,
better than a silhouette. Anyway, he says, looking good again. And I said, well, thank you. What are you up to? And he said something and I said something, and we had a little conversation, and he walked off. I thought he was going to get some coffee. And 30 seconds later, he comes out of the bedroom again. Now, that's not the direction he had walked off in, but he walks out of the bedroom and stands in the doorway again. I said, how did you get back in the bedroom? He said, I've never left the bedroom. Who were you talking to? And I was like, holy shit. This is why people move out.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a spirit.
Yeah.
That I assumed was my husband because he was the only person in the house besides me.
Yeah.
And later, much later, as they were filming my ghost story, it came out that this person could have been my late husband.
Ah.
I was a widow when I met my husband.
Ah.
And this sounded like my late husband. Sounded like, but the terminology that he used, the looking good, sounded like him.
I got to ask you, Linda. Hold on, I got to ask you. So let's go back a bit. So you've had this experience. Now the man comes in, you're looking good, and then your husband comes in and said, "Who are you talking to? I haven't got up yet." So we got it. We're not going to jump past this bit. So what happens between you and your husband? What? Never mind the effect on you. What did your husband think of this?
He thought he probably thought I was imagining things. To be honest, he probably thought that I was imagining things.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to admit that the house was haunted.
I'm with you. Yeah.
He was finally convinced by an EVP that someone got when he was in the house.
Yeah.
When they got the EVP, and he could hear it on a recording.
Yeah.
A third person speaking when there were only two people in the room, and he knew that there were only two people in the room, and he knew those two people.
Exactly.
And the
we'll get to that. Hold on, Linda. Hold on. I know what you're going to say, so we'll get to that. I want to hold that one because that part is mind blowing for me when I heard it. So just put that to one side for a second, because these EVPs, many people think you're straining to hear things, but not in your case. No way. So we're going to put that to the side for a second.
How long? Class A EVPs.
Absolutely.
I don't even listen twice. If I don't hear it the first time, it's not a good enough EVP.
Exactly. No searching. Let's put that to one side for a minute because that I really want to go into.
Okay.
So after that experience, did you stay in the complex?
Yes, we continued to stay.
Yeah.
I mean,
did it happen again?
No, not like that.
Okay.
Not like that.
Okay. What other things happened? I mean, I got to ask you, how did you get on the radar of the media? How did that come about to get you on the season 2 of the show?
A friend of mine who had explored Hill House many times wanted to do he wanted to investigate for the night by himself. He wanted to be the only one in the house.
Okay.
And he was going to record this, and he was going to make a promotional demo video and send it to my ghost story because he knew they were looking for
I'm with you.
situations. So he was hoping to capture something and he knew about my story already. So he sent this demo off, and it was a demo of both him and me, and they liked it. They liked us, they liked the story, they liked his story, which involved seeing what we're assuming was the same spirit in the house with him that night. And it was standing in the kitchen, and he was in the living room, and there's one room in between the kitchen and the living room. And he clearly saw a man in the kitchen. And that's when we started to put two and two together that it might have been my late husband.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
He started describing the person he had seen, and I was like, that sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah.
And I just happened to have a box full of my late husband's belongings in the back room. Because much as my husband understood that I did not divorce my late husband, he died. And my husband understood that. And he understood that I didn't hate my late husband. I still loved my late husband. There was no animosity between us. He just died. There was a little animosity. I was a little pissed at him for dying.
Yeah, well, yeah, so
that left me with a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And a business, and, you know,
I hear you.
Everything else. So there was a little bit of animosity, but it wasn't that kind of animosity. It was just, how could you leave me like this?
Yeah.
But anyway, and my husband understood that, but he was really not comfortable having my late husband's things in the house we were living in. So we had put his things in this bedroom in the back of this house for storage.
Yeah.
Well, my late husband was in the military. And even after he got out of the military, he kind of remained in the military as a reservist.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have that in England.
Yes.
But you join the reserves, and you show up once a month, and you do a weekend of duty, and you hang out with your buds in the military. And military people seem to go in groups.
Yeah.
They don't do anything by themselves or just two of them. There's always 4, 5, 6 people. You know, they get together and build a new deck for somebody, or, you know, we're going to fix up this room or whatever. They do things in packs. So I had all these pictures of my late husband with all his friends. So I brought out about 6 or 7 of them, of the pictures. And I said, do you see him? Because I'm not the type that will put something there and lead you to it.
No.
I don't give out names at Hill House. I don't spoil it by prejudicing you in a certain direction.
Yeah, it's
so
like
I brought out all these pictures that had all these different people, but they were all the same people in all the different pictures, you know, give or take a few.
Yeah.
I said, do you recognize him anywhere in any of these pictures? And he immediately pointed to my late husband.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay, that's it. It was my late husband. And maybe it was my late husband that had the conversation with me.
Did you share this information with your current husband?
Oh, yes. Oh,
How
yes.
did he take that?
He was, he got a little unsettled about it.
Yeah, I think, well, anyone would. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I think it's beautiful that happened, personally. You know, but however, I can understand a spouse really sort of like, well, really, this isn't, you know, quite right. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's,
having your wife's ex hanging around is not conducive to a lot of things.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, but we won't get stuck there. But it was just it's just fascinating.
Yeah, we had to get through that.
Yeah, you would
as a couple.
Yeah,
and we set up some boundaries. You know, he doesn't come to our house. He goes to Hill House.
There you go.
And people do have interactions with him occasionally. And, you know, people have told me about conversations they've had, or I've been sitting there when they were doing a dowsing rod session.
Yeah.
and not really paying attention, working on something else, but sitting there. And suddenly the answers start sounding like my husband, my late husband.
Hmm.
And I'll go, wait a minute, ask him this. And they'll ask him, and okay, ask him this. And they'll ask him, and I'll say, that you've got my late husband.
I love it. I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm hoping, before we end tonight, we can have a bit of humor about this, how it all comes together. But however, I really want to take it now. We've got the basis of it. How did you now have ghost hunts come in and they sleep over and all of this going on? Tell us all about that. What has been going, and then we'll go to the EVPs, obviously.
Well, when we found out that the house was haunted,
Mm-hmm.
and we were confirmed that the house was haunted because I had had my experience, and we had had a lot of little things happen here and there. I told my daughter about it, and I told the people that I worked with about it. And one of the girls, unbeknownst to me, was into ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
She and back then, this is 2007. This is before all the big ghost hunting
Yeah, yeah.
shows. But she was into it. And so she wanted to come and do an overnight investigation. So we decided to have a haunted house party, right? And there were 4 of us that came to the house and spent the night. 5 if you count my husband, who stayed downstairs in the bedroom the whole time. He didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
He was still in denial as much
Mhm.
as he could be. Anyway, it was a fun night, and we had some things happen, and we had a few things happen, and she went and told some of her friends about it.
Mhm.
And she told me, what you need to do is have an official ghost hunting team come in and examine it, investigate. And I
Mhm.
said, well, where do you find an official ghost hunting team? They're not in the yellow pages. He said, no, we'll have to make you a MySpace page. I said,
I
I have
remember
a web.
them. Oh God, I remember them.
Yeah. I
Wow.
said, I have a website. MySpace is my daughter's space. My
Mm.
daughter uses MySpace. I
Yeah.
don't need. She said, no, you get on MySpace, you set up an account for the house. And that's why we were in a hurry. We needed a name for the house, was because she wanted to set up a MySpace page using the name of the house.
Yeah.
So she said, we'll set up a MySpace page for the house, and you'll get ghost hunters in, and you'll find a ghost hunting team, and you'll get them to come in and see what they think. They have special equipment, and
Mhm.
yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So we set up a MySpace page, and we found some ghost hunters, and the closest ones at the time. Nowadays, you can throw a rock and hit a ghost hunting team. They're everywhere. But
Yeah.
back then,
Mhm.
they were few and far between. So anyway, we found a ghost hunting team, and they came up from Galveston, Texas, which is like a 6 or 7 hour drive.
Mhm.
This state is huge. Uh, you can fit most of Europe into the state of Texas.
I've heard how large, from my other guests from America, how large Texas is. I mean, it's
It is
inconceivable for us to
huge.
grasp it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, huge. So anyway, they drove 6 hours plus to get here, and they came in and, asked for the background, and we told them how tenants would leave and say that somebody was sick and they needed to move to California to take care of them, or move to
Mhm.
Utah for treatment or whatever. And they came in, and about 3 or 4 in the morning, they were knocking on the bedroom door, and saying, we're going to leave. We're going to, it's a long drive. We're going to go ahead and head back to Houston or Galveston in the middle of the night. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And on the way out the door, they're like, by the way, yes, you have activity. Okay. Well, they called me a couple days later and they apologized. They said, we did exactly what your tenants did to you. We left before we said we would. And we said it was because somebody was sick, because they had said that one of them was not feeling well, and that's why they were leaving. And they said, actually, what happened was one of them got a nosebleed, and she had never had a nosebleed in her life. And she got a nosebleed, and she got scared and wanted out of the house. That's what happened. And yes, you do have a haunted house. Like, okay. So they told people, other ghost hunters, about what had happened. And my daughter told people at her school about what had happened. And, you know, people who had been there told people. And
Word
it
of
just
mouth.
started spreading, word of mouth. And people started calling and asking if they could stay the night and investigate. And we let a couple of people come in and do it. And finally, someone called and they had a team and they wanted to investigate. And they said, you know, they'd like to come on a Sunday night. I said, well, would you pay to come? Because we're still making payments on this house. We're still making payments on the house. We're paying taxes on the house. We're paying the light bill, you know, all of that. I said, would you pay to come and investigate? And they said, oh yeah, no problem. So I said, okay. And it was very reasonable. I mean, I quoted them, it was like $50 for the night, for the whole team. And we're still very reasonable, but we're not that reasonable anymore. But they came and they investigated and they started spreading the word, and we started getting more phone calls. And before you know it, we've got people coming every month and then every week. And then, of course, we got on My Ghost Story, and we definitely had people coming every weekend.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. Can I just come in there? I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but it really sounds like that the spirits in this house are loving this. I mean, they're like the center of attention. I mean, they're loving it.
They are. They do love it. They come for it.
Yeah.
In fact, some people have told me that this is a portal and that we have spirits coming in from all over the planet.
Yeah.
Just because they've word of mouth.
Yeah.
Here's a place where people come, you can interact with them. They will listen to you. They will take you seriously. They will talk with you. They will listen to what you have to say. They love it.
I mean,
or people come to get scared, and the ghosts love that.
I mean, this is what, I mean, I'm picking up myself, but this is the sort of like, you know, it's this interaction between, you know, the alive spirit and the not alive, physical alive spirit. It's that communication and interaction. I love it. It's as if you went off to, I don't know, to a Halloween party and you got scared, or you went to
I like to call it Six Flags for ghosts.
Well, whatever. I mean, I don't understand. That's Americanized. I don't get that.
Oh, Six Flags is an amusement park.
Oh, God. There you go. I get that. I was actually going to say it's entertainment. Yes. And I love the energy. And that's what I picked up in the show. I love the energy. And I thought, they're having a whale of a time there. They are going there to entertain the people. If they want it, as you said, you want to be scared. If you don't, if you want, but if you want it. And this is what we're coming to now. Also, if you want to have that conversation, you can have that conversation. Now, please tell us about the EVPs. Tell us about, and never mind the pictures. I mean, as I said, the one with the woman and the mirror, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, obviously, I'm a medium. I don't have an issue. I see them. But to capture it is just fantastic. But tell us about the EVPs.
Well, early on, we had EVPs. Because most people, if they have no other equipment, they have a recorder.
Yeah.
So you can record and you can pick up EVPs. And they are in our house, they are crystal clear.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about people who bring in like a spirit box or, you know, those kind of instruments that put out sounds and words and what have you. I'm
Yeah.
talking about it just magically seems to appear on the recording,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone talking.
Mhm.
One time I was giving a tour of the house, and I tell people to record the tour because it starts when we start.
Yeah.
It starts when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
So record the tour because they like to mess with me.
Yeah.
So I'm giving a tour, and we're in this one part of the house where there is a door that has an old-fashioned latch.
Mhm.
It doesn't have a lock, it has a latch that swings down and then swings up and goes into a hole
Yeah.
in
I'm with you. Yeah.
the wall. And they will latch that periodically.
Mhm.
We will leave it unlatched on purpose and come back and find it latched.
Yeah.
And so I was telling people about this, and somebody was recording it. And in the EVP, there's a man that whispers, but right into the recorder, he whispers, latch it. And you can hear it just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Latch it. And I was unlatching it at the time, but he was telling me to just go ahead and latch it and be done with it because we're going to latch it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that. I love that. I mean, I know you got loads of these, but I'm too excited now. I want to go to the experience where there were two people in the room, of which your current husband knows about, and only two people, and the conversation that was heard on the recording.
They were discussing, he had been talking about bringing some friends up to the house, and uh, they were talking about the people on the porch and just, you know, generally chatting. And that's when we get our best EVPs,
Yeah.
by the way, is when we're chatting because they like to join in.
Yeah.
They don't want to be interviewed. They've been interviewed to death.
Yes.
Pardon
Yeah.
my pun.
Yeah. That's a
They
good one,
they
actually.
they've had the what's your name? How
Yeah.
old were you when you died? You know, all of that. They know they're dead, most of them. But when you're having a conversation, they'll jump in,
Yeah.
just like the guy with the latchet and this one. So they're having this conversation, and it's a man and a woman
Mm-hmm.
talking. And suddenly, a man who is not the man that you've heard talking says, "Bring them all." And you can hear it plain as day. Bring them all. And when these EVPs happen, it sounds like they're talking right into the speaker
I just love it.
or the microphone.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you know, even being a medium myself and a lifelong experiencer of it, um, you know, I've heard EVPs before over the years. Ever so often someone puts on, I listen, and you know, the majority is to me is. But there have been some, and I thought, oh, shit, I wouldn't do it. And I'm a medium, and I've communicated with them since child. I would not go and do that because I would be one of these people. I'm going outside to check the recording because I would just ruin the whole experience. But I mean, so that was the one. Are you saying that your current husband?
That convinced Dell. My husband's name is Dell, Del. And that one convinced him because he was in the other room at the
Mhm.
time that was happening. And he knew the people that were there, and he recognized the voices, and he didn't recognize that third voice. And he was like, oh my God,
I
it
mean,
really is
I've got to
haunted.
come in again. I mean, I've got to. I want to get as in the last part of the show. Could you share with us? I mean, obviously, but before we go into other experiences that happened, I would like you to advertise your books. You've written, is it 2 books?
Oh no, I've written about 10 or 12.
Oh, for God's sake, look at me doing my homework. Tell us about, it's all right. I'm in my own space here listening to the experiences. Tell us about
That's
your book,
fine.
where people can get your books on your website. Do all that, and then we'll go into let's do it, flip it, turn it around. Tell us all about your books and where we can get them.
Okay. Well, most of my books are inspired by Hill House Manor. Surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
2 of my books are actually called Hill House Manor. It's a series. Hill House Manor, the guest book, I published early on. It was my first published book, and it is a collection of stories from people who have spent the night at Hill House Manor.
Okay.
What happened to them, everything from just thank you for having us to a whole page written about what their experience was during the night. That's Hill House Manor, the guest book. It's a paperback, and it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon.co, Amazon.com,
Amazon in your browser,
whatever.
It comes up. Yeah.
Amazon. The next book I wrote was a children's ghost story. And it's for grade schoolers from 4 to 8 years old, or not 4 to 8. I don't even know where I came up with 4. From 8 to 12 years old in 2nd to 5th grade.
Okay.
They start reading chapter books in 2nd or 3rd grade. And these are chapter books. I've got a series. I've got 4 in the series of the Brandon's Ghosts. And Brandon, the first book, he's home alone. And he's not usually home alone after school. He has a babysitter who is lovingly called a tutor because he's too old to have a babysitter. So she's his tutor.
I'm with you, yeah.
Who just happens to stay until mom gets home.
Yeah, there you go.
He's happy with that. But anyway, today she doesn't show up and he's there by himself, which he thinks is pretty cool, you know, at first. But then things get a little spooky and he's not as happy about it as he was. And then a lady shows up and comes in and kind of takes over and starts a ghost hunt with him. And they have a ghost hunt. And it proceeds from there. And Brandon discovers that everything that he thought was spooky wasn't spooky. There were logical explanations for everything, except for the woman that showed up. There was no logical explanation for her. And it turns out that she's his grandmother. No, his great-grandmother. Now I can't remember. But she's featured in all the books. Her name is Mary. And Merry, Mary.
I think that's wonderful that you've written the series of books for children to introduce them in a sensitive way, in a softer way, to the spirit world. And I think it's needed at this time. I have a lady in one of my groups that I teach. I can't go into it because she's now compiling her own book, and it's going to be for children. It's totally different. It is different to yours. But it is to do, let's say, with the paranormal world. And it's just such a blessing that she will be able to introduce, let's say, dimensional beings through a fun, joyous adventure. They're like adventures, very similar to your Brandon's Ghost. So I think that's a wonderful thing you've done to introduce it to children. It's brilliant. It's a great one. Wonderful.
Well, it was inspired by my grandson, who, when he discovered that Hill House Manor was haunted, he got afraid. And I wanted to write a children's book that would introduce him to the situation in such a way that he wouldn't need to be afraid of it.
Exactly. Brilliant job. Well done, Linda. That is really, a service to humanity. And this is,
thank you.
this lady in my group that I teach, it's a mediumship group. She's she's in the process of doing the same with dimensional beings, and I mean the experiences that she's experienced. I mean, we as adults in the group, we're just riveted. It's so funny. It's so much joy, so much interaction. You know, like a bit like the spirits in Hill House. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. Well done, you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what other books have you got out?
Well, my first full-length novel for adults is called The Anchor is the Key. And all my books are available on Amazon.
Yeah.
But The Anchor is the Key is about a psychic who lives in a small town in Texas. And she's well known as a psychic locally. And that's how she makes her living. She has an office in her home where clients come and she does readings.
Yeah.
And she works from 9 to 5. She'll do gallery readings every once in a while on a weekend or something. But basically, she works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, with Friday afternoons off, And her life is pretty routine in that way. Until something happens, she's on a walk at a local creek and she finds a boat, not a toy boat, it's more like a model boat.
Yeah.
Like adults will build a model boat. And she finds it on the side of the creek and she picks it up and she has a vision of a young boy lying on the creek bank, like he's been captured in a flood or something and deposited. And so she freaks out. She's got to find this boy. And she's off and looking for him and, walking up the creek bank and looking for him. And she comes to the next bridge and there's a man who yells down at her, "Where did you get that boat?" And she tells him that she's looking for the boy. There's a boy in trouble. And he says, "No, we have the boy. He's fine. But we're looking for the boat." And so he comes down and helps her up and gives her a ride back to her house because she has an appointment in a few minutes. And it goes from there.
Brilliant.
There's a mystery involved. There's a murder involved. There's
lovely
involved. There's a supposed demon involved.
Don't give too much away. That's
right.
Enough. You've captured already. So,
well, after that success, I went on and wrote The Spider House.
Yeah.
Which is about the same woman, Madame Celeste. It's the Madame Celeste series, and there's only 2 books in the series right now.
Yeah.
The third book, I was halfway through it and junked it. I said, no, this is not going to do. I started over. So it's going to be a little while before book 3 comes out, but it is going to come out. And we follow the adventures of Celeste and her apprentice Emma. It gives you kind of a behind the scenes look at a day in the life of a psychic.
That's good. I mean, what I like about how you write is with the paranormal experiences with the psychic and is you're normalizing it, which is wonderful. Yes. And that's what we really, that's I resonate with you. You're normalizing and bringing it into like the collective. This is normal. For me, it's always been normal.
Doesn't everybody have these experiences?
Everybody
no, they don't.
Well, everyone is psychic.
Yes, I agree.
They fear it. So whatever reason, but what I like about what you've done is with all the experiences, whether it's Hill House, the books for the children, about the psychic and the adventures and but you're normalizing it, which it should be. For me, it should be okay to talk about I mean, I call them the dead. I see dead people, and they say to me, "Do not call us dead. We are not dead." And they can say it with some force. But
Yes,
I
and
realize now I'm using it as a communication word for others. So I think with your books and everything you're doing, and with Hill House, I mean, it sounds so entertaining and so much fun that that's normalizing the interaction between those sort of living in the dream and those out of the dream, so to speak. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And for me now, I look back, at the house, why you got the house, and how it happened, and look at the end result you're producing. You, in a million years, you never would have, if you hadn't bought the house, you wouldn't be doing these books and what you're doing now. It wouldn't be.
exactly. It
Yeah.
was all meant to be. It
It
was
was
all by design.
all meant to be in design. Right. Before we end the show, you've got to share some of the experiences. Do you remember the context, the story behind the picture I saw, where the woman was sitting on the bed and there was the man in the mirror? That was.
That was a group that for the first 3 or 4 years,
Hold on a second.
almost every month.
Guys, we've got either the spirit world or something interfering because
Uh-oh.
you froze. Are you back?
I'm back. Now you're back.
Yeah, there was a bit of a noise and you froze. So start that again.
Okay. The first few years that Hill House was open to the public, we had a group of paranormal investigators who would come every month. Some members of the group every month. And that room.
We're losing you again. You froze.
Yeah, I'm back now. I don't know what's going on, but it keeps freezing. But some members of the group concentrated on that room where that mirror is, that the shadow person shows up in. And they caught a shadow person in that mirror 2 months in a row. Different shadow people, 2 months in a row. I assume it was different shadow people. Now, did they bring him with them? Or was he part of the house? I don't know. But I've only seen pictures from that group at Hill House. Where she's sitting, you should be able to see that shadow next to her.
Yes.
But it's not there. But it's in the mirror.
It's in the mirror, and how close to her as well.
It's right there. It's right there. You should be able to see it on the wall next to her.
Yeah.
And yet you don't. You
That
only see it in the mirror. And we've got 2 of them like that.
Okay. Can I do you have pictures of like orbs? Have you captured the orbs?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're common now, aren't they?
Well, we call them dorbs.
Dorbs.
Dust orbs.
Dust orbs.
Dorbs. Yeah. Now we have had I don't completely discount orbs, but at Hill House, it's a very dusty old house. And you're going to have dust, and you're going to have dust orbs.
Yeah.
But there are orbs that are not dust. Yes. You can see some intelligent going on.
Yeah.
And what convinces me even more is that I have seen an orb floating through a room with my naked eyes.
Yeah.
Not on a screen, not in a picture, right there in the room, ball of light floating along.
Yeah.
I am not the only one that has seen it. Other people have seen balls of light floating through the house. And that tells me that some of those orbs are not dorbs. No. They're real orbs.
Yeah, I mean, they're distinguishable. I mean, I'm fully aware of dust orbs, obviously, but when an orb is an orb and you see the orb, it's quite obvious. You just know it.
Yeah.
It's just you just know it. I mean, you can't you cannot mistaken it when you do see one because
Yeah.
there's something of a resonance with it. It's something you become aware of something, and it's a totally different energy to dust particles go. I mean, can you share? I mean, any more EVPs? What has been heard in Hill House?
Oh my.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing?
No. What are you
That
hearing?
that it's like someone's moving a chair, coming a bit closer. It's happened a few times. Someone's moving. Sounds like someone's moving furniture, but I'm hearing it.
No.
There you go again.
Oh, I hear it.
Hear it?
Yes, I do. I have no idea where that's coming from.
I'm used to this. Don't worry. Are you good? I am so used to this. It's got its attention. It may stop now because you heard it too. Right.
Yeah.
So what other things have you heard on the EVPs on the recorders?
Oh, all kinds of things. Someone just saying hello.
Oh gosh.
Just hello. We do have one saying help me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now there's a character at Hill House, and I believe he was probably the man who built Hill House,
Hmm.
which was built one room at a time. It was a one room farmhouse
Hmm.
or ranch house or whatever you want to call it. And when they built on, instead of just building on, they brought in another ranch house and married the two.
Together.
So they had a 2 room
Yeah.
house, but it was
Yeah.
2 houses.
Yeah.
And then they built on and built on. It's over 3,000 square feet.
It's huge.
So it's a good sized house. It's a very good sized house. Um,
Mind you, that, I'm just thinking coming from, I don't know if it's psychic or what, but you were saying about earlier on being portal, but if you've got 3 different houses from 3 different places with 3 different cultural, historical spirits, and then you put them in one pot, you're going to have pick a mix. I mean, that would answer why it is the way it is. Because if you've got 3 individual premises that do have ghosts, I mean, everywhere there is a spirit. I'm sorry for those, but it's true. But don't worry about it. It's
yeah,
cool. It's cool.
they're everywhere.
Imagine if you've got one house, maybe it's got residue trauma, murder, something, and the other house could have been a brothel or something like that, and the other house could have been a drunken den of iniquity, and then you're going to put the 3 houses, put them all together in one. You are so going to have a portal, are you not?
I think so. In
Uh,
fact, my second book in the Hill House series is Hill House Manor 13 Ghost Stories. And that's exactly what it is. It's 13 short stories. The first story is a little long, but it's still a short story.
yeah, I'm
And
with you.
it talks about the beginning
Yeah,
of Hill House when it was just a single cabin.
yeah.
And it talks about spirits back then.
Hmm.
Now, it doesn't call it Hill House. I don't refer to Hill House in any of these stories, but these stories are, what can I say? People tell me things that they have learned about the house from the
Yeah,
spirits
yeah,
that they can't prove. They
yeah.
can't point to a newspaper article or a yearbook or a magazine article or anything to prove, or a court record. They just say, this is what happened. This
Hmm.
is,
Yeah.
And what I do with those stories is I don't tell people those stories
Hmm.
because they're just stories to me.
Yeah.
Without proof, they're just stories.
Yeah.
But I do incorporate them into my ghost stories.
Yeah.
And so if you read the book, 13 Ghost Stories, all of those stories are based in one way or another on things that have happened, supposedly happened at Hill House Manor.
Yeah. I
And
mean, oh, that's, excuse me 1 second. Mute that. That just, I've lost, sorry about that. I just had a phone call. I thought I muted my phone. I'm sorry. Live show. But that's wonderful. I mean, obviously, and me as a medium, I mean, you can't always, I mean, for my job, I mean, as I said, I'm a rescue medium, so I don't go looking for it. They come to me when it needs to be. And I really don't give a fudging fudge about evidence for anybody.
right.
But the fact is, I do in the group that I run, or I teach. If a spirit comes in and no one can take it, I said that spirit is validated to come in to share that story. It doesn't matter if you haven't got any evidence for anyone in the
Right.
room. Still express the message. They need to give this message. You never know, somewhere down the line, someone you meet, you know, it may be able to take that. So I'm glad that you've taken these ones that can't be validated or proven due to there's no history about the bloody house, or you can't. It would be maybe physically impossible to go and research it, especially so many. And you're putting it into the ghost stories. So their story is still being
Is
put out there.
being told.
Yes,
Yes.
I love that, because I say it all the time, you know, people say, oh, no one can take it. I say, no, still share it, because a spirit has come through, a beacon of light's gone on, and I got access. I need to tell them a story, and we listen to the story. And I think
That's where I tell the stories, is in
yeah,
my writing.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful that you do that as well. I mean, I knew from the get-go when I first saw you, there was more to you than just Hill House, and there is. I mean, because I wanted to take this show's gone where I wanted it to go about you and what you've created, about being forced to buy this property. There's no way you could get out of it. You had to purchase it. And to look at the creative work that you're doing now, and the enjoyment the spirit world is bringing to many people that go to the property. So what, up to date now, what's going on with Hill House now? Does it still have investigators going in?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It was full over Memorial Weekend. We had an investigation Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night.
I think it's wonderful. Do you ever get any video recordings to keep of anything that goes on?
Any what?
Can you hear that? Can you hear it again? Hear that?
Yep, I heard it.
It's been going as I've been talking to you. It's like someone's dragging a chair and getting really bored with this. Someone's doing something.
I
So
swear I'm not at Hill House Manor right now. I'm in my own house.
No, I get it on my show sometimes. When I talk about the spirit world or anything like this, even in my Zoom rooms, this happens. And I'm so used to it. I don't know if I'm just hearing it and you're just picking it up, and the audience, when they're watching the rerun, will pick it up. But that's definitely, it's like someone's dragging something. And I get it all the time. So I do apologize. I got distracted again. Do you ever get videos that you keep of any events going on there or anything like that? Or do they stay with the ghost hunters themselves? Do you ever
Sometimes the ghost hunters will send me a clip if they think I might be interested in it. We have cameras set up and DVRs running, but we don't save the film.
I'm with you.
Well, it's not film, but whatever you call it now.
Yeah.
But people will send me clips.
Do you ever check it though before you don't save it? Do you ever check it?
No.
I mean, obviously, I don't blame you. Actually, I would just be. No, I don't blame you. I mean,
I was giving a tour Sunday night, and we were looking at the cameras, and we have a camera display that shows about, I don't know, 12 or 16 different cameras, right?
yeah,
And we're watching all of them and just, checking out how to use it. And here goes an orb that was definitely not a dust orb
yeah.
across one of the screens. And we all three saw it. It was like, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you? We didn't even back it up. We didn't even back it up. It was like, that just happens.
I
You,
mean,
you,
as I said, you're normalizing it, which I love. Which I love. You know, it has been an absolutely fantastic conversation with you, and I do hope that in the future I can bring you back onto my other show. This is Inception. I have another show, a live show called Open Minds Chat Show, and I'll bring you back down the line onto that show and to
oh,
share.
I'd love that, Gloria. That'd be great.
To share more experiences, or it has been fantastic. I don't know about anyone else. It's all about me. I've loved. You hear that?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a train.
Oh, I was going to say I don't want trains going through the screen.
No, that's a train. That's a
That is.
real train.
Thank you, thank you. I'm getting carried away here with the noises. So thank you for that, and I look forward to having you back on the show. So last time, where can anyone get hold of you or your books before we close?
Books are on Amazon. I'm Linda Anthony Hill. So you can look for Linda Anthony Hill on Amazon and you'll get my list of books. Or go to amazon.com/author/Hill, Hill, Lynn, Lin. And that'll take you to my author page. I also have a website, hillhousemanor.com. And you can email me at linda@hillhousemanor.com. And I'm also on Facebook as Linda Anthony Hill.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you once again. Don't go
Thank
away
you for
anywhere.
having me.
Stay behind. Oh, you're more than welcome. Stay there while I close the show. Thank you for everyone who's either watched or will watch it on the replay. I'm Gloria. This is Inception Live. Until the next time. Bye, guys.